No, it says we're live. That's good.
All right. I'm ready. I'm not dead.
You're ready? You're not dead?
Mm-hmm.
Ready Player One. Anyway, hello there, folks.
Hi.
Today it's a bit different day. It's a special day. I'm recording from the board game camp, where it's in Estonia. It's one of the like countryside places in Estonia, like 30-40 kilometers from Tallinn. And the Estonia board game camp means that we just come together, like around 100 people, and we just play games. Like 24/7, we play games. Sometimes sleep, sometimes we eat. Mostly we play games. But that's
I've
that.
been there. It's a lot of fun. I like that. It was a fun place to go.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I'm sorry for like sound interruptions or anything like that, because I use the hotspot because the Wi-Fi here is not so good. So anyway, there might be some small caveats with the sound, with the internet, but I hope it's gonna be good because the 4G helps us.
Well, I'm recording from home as usual. Nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing special here.
I I invented a new phrase. So I'm not a religious person myself. So if I want to say something about cheeses, then I say like like cheese, and the plural is cheeses, and then I
Okay.
say crust, cheeses, crust.
Let's see. You're aware that
It's
might be offensive to some people.
why.
I don't know, but you'll have to use your imagination.
All right, all right. Let it be. Anyway, we're gonna start with this episode. Then today's episode is about exploration games,
It is.
and my telephone just died. All right, so I'm back. Anyway, and of course we always do our segments, and we're gonna start with the recent plays. And I played a few games, and mostly, yeah, some of these games I had to learn, and then we had to read the rules like twice, and then search for the answers on the forums. And those games are quite like one of those games was quite new, and I couldn't find the answers. And like,
Uh-oh.
I mean, like I hate stupid rulebooks. I hate them. Like, if there are so many games out there where you can kind of take inspiration from to write rulebooks, and you still do some simple mistakes. Like, for example, if you so let me just start with the recent play. I played So Long My World again. Yeah,
So long, my world again.
yeah, So Long My World,
Oh, okay.
and that's the name of the game. And so in this game, like the rulebook itself is it's horrible because when you have a setup for the game, what you do first of all, you should just put like separate pictures of each component, so you know exactly what each component is. Yeah. So if it says remnant cards, it says these cards and these cards, like, and then like, oh, the backs are all the same. What are these? What are the other cards? You need to start shuffling things. So, and the other thing is that when you place a setup on the as you have to place the setup as a picture in the rulebook. That's the thing. Yeah. And then like step by step all the things, but yeah, nothing like that. And many rules questions that are unanswered. And where's the, for example, there should be FAQ and the reference card for, or reference sheet for different cards. If you have a game with lots of abilities, lots of different cards with abilities, you need to have a reference sheet where it tells you about all those cards and kind of explains you the caveats about those abilities. It should be there, but it's not, and it's bad.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
Long
that's
My World
frustrating.
is, by the way, it's a nice game. I like it. It's I mean, it's outsmarting, outguessing your opponent, and you know, anticipating where somebody will go, and then you're gonna grab those tokens, which are like, it's the world is ending, and you grab those feelings, and then you use those feelings in order to play cards, and you play cards in order to get points. Yeah, it's a simple card game with deep theme and some random events coming up, and tight resource management. So that's that. That's one of the games I played. The other one that I played right. like an hour ago. I played Archmage.
Oh,
Finally, yes. And I would say the rulebook for Archmage is okay. There are some things that are unanswered, like quite a few things that are unanswered, to be honest. Uh, the game itself, it's really hard to grasp it from the first play because you need to manage so many different tiny things. The the retail version, or let's say there's the deluxe version. The retail version has tiles which are like so small and they're so colorful, and it's really hard to see. It's really hard to and there are so many things, small things, details that you need to remember. It's kind of heavy on that. A lot of information out of that. Oh, these combine together into this, combine together, and so on. And there are so many abilities, and it's a little bit overwhelming for the first play. I liked it. So Archmage is about you're the mages. You spread out, you explore the map, and then you put out your followers, so they can control locations. You can get some more resources, and then you have this kind of the mage board or something, like mage tower, something like that. You use that in order to combine your followers and make them more advanced, and then so you can use more advanced spells. So basically, by using the followers, you can start using different spells which have kind of a really cool effects in the game. And eventually, you're gonna get score points for kind of the majority and the spells
yep.
that you gathered in your spell book. And that's basically it. And
Yeah.
I liked it, but this is something I need to play again right away in order to understand. Now, like, oh, now I understand it. Now I got some answers for the questions that I had during the game. Now I can play it. The first play was not that enjoyable, but I could see the potential. Yeah.
In the retail version, are some of the cards foil?
Mm-mm.
See, that was my
Nothing.
problem. I have the deluxe edition that I got sort of sight unseen from Gen Con. And I liked it, but the advanced spells are all foil cards in the version I have, and they're
All
just
right.
very difficult. They're just very difficult to read.
Mm. What
I
about the
mean,
tiles? Like, did you have the boards?
yeah, there's a
Because
board, and then there's
all right,
tiles that go on it, and the
and the
tiles
tiles are
I didn't find them to be very small. They felt they were just okay in size. I didn't have a problem with them.
and that's why, because the retail version doesn't have a board. You just lay those tiles
Oh,
on the
oh,
table, and I think they are smaller as well. That's what I remember.
oh. Hmm.
So
Well, I
yeah,
don't know. I haven't seen the retail version.
it's
I
bad.
like the
Yeah.
game, but it's one that I don't know that anybody. I don't know. It's one that I like, but I don't know that it does anything new or interesting that's that different. Other than that board where you're kind of managing the different people, like the different that pedal looking board where
Yeah.
you're managing the different followers. But I don't know. It's a fine game. I think I need to try it again. I ordered the expansion for it, but
What does the expansion add?
I don't know. It was
All
on
right. So
Kickstarter and it said buy me, and so I did.
yeah, maybe it will add something extra, which will boost the game for me. It's not a bad game. It's the game. It's such a game that it's hard for you to grasp it,
Sure.
and
No,
that's
I
why
can definitely see that.
it needs repeated plays. So yeah, the
Hmm.
Archmage. But I also played Wingspan again. Woohoo!
Oh, good.
Nice. And I played Raidon Takao, which is the Raidon Taihoku, the kind of a sequel to that. It's a Taiwanese game from Miso Games. I'm going to review that. It's cooperative games. It's World War II, Taiwan, and then you try to survive. And you have those managements. The rulebook is unclear on many things, as always. Uh,
Surprise,
it's not
especially for
bad.
Asian games.
Yeah, but it's a step up from the Raidon Taihoku, which is the previous one. It's I mean, the first scenario that we played was easy and it wasn't that motivating. But the
Hmm.
other scenarios that are red, I want to try again, of course. The other scenarios sound more interesting. It's an interesting game. It's kind of a greed management game, kind of, because you look at the board and you manage your different actions. If you know all the rules and you get answers to all of your questions, it might be an enjoyable game. It's not a bad game.
Okay.
Great on Takao. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, I have been traveling a lot. I had my grandmother was ill and then eventually passed away, so I was traveling a lot in the last couple of weeks, and I played a lot of very small travel type games that I can easily take with me on the go. Plus one other bigger game that I'll talk about. The bigger game that is called Hodara. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's fairly
I've seen that.
new. It's really good.
Hmm.
It feels almost like a Seven Wonders type game. That's sort of the feel of it, but it's different. What you do is you have this wheel and there are cards placed around it, and on your turn, there's not really turns in the first part of the game. You draw two cards and choose one to keep, and one to discard. And the one you keep, you can either throw away for money or you can buy and put into your tableau. And you're just trying to
Hmm.
build this, and it increases your stats on various tracks. And then you go through a phase where you use those stats to buy different things. You can buy colonies with the red ones or statues with the blue, and you get money with the yellow. And then you go through and you do a second round of that kind of card selection using the card tiles. And so you just kind of go through that and you do that 3 times and then you calculate your points. And that doesn't sound very exciting. And the theme is really not there at all, but it's really engaging to play. It's fast. It's very interesting. There's lots of things you can focus on one thing over the other and see how you want to make it work. And after playing it, I just wanted to play it right again. So that was a surprise. It didn't look all that
Hmm.
special, but it was really fun.
Okay.
Hadara.
Anything else you played?
That's not that's not the travel version. The travel type games. Let's see. I played a lot of Welcome to.
I see.
I played that with my sister when I was out in Utah. She liked that. It's not new anymore. You've got the 3 cards and card sets, and you're choosing one, and you're filling out your little streets, and that's kind of how it is. It's a lot of fun. I've got the different scenarios for it as well, but I've only played the winter time one and the Easter one. But
Hmm.
and those just add a little bit something else you're focusing on. In the winter one, you're trying to make strings of consecutive numbers because you can get bonus points for those. And in the Easter one, there's a bunch of eggs on the board, and the numbers that have loops in them. So a 0 or a 9 or an 8. If you put those in the spots with the eggs, you can sort of put the egg in that loop. And when you collect the more eggs you collect, the more points you'll get at the end of the game. So that's welcome too.
Okay.
And the other short one that I played, I taught my family Skull King, which has nothing to do with foxes. Um,
Skulking. I've heard about that one.
it's a trick taking and bidding game,
I see.
but you can play 10 rounds. In the first round, you've got 1 card. The second round, you have a hand of 2 cards, and you can figure out the progression from there. And most of the game is just bidding how many of the tricks you're going to win. And there's standard trick taking rules and some special cards. And if you get your bid right, you get points, and if you miss your bid, you lose various numbers of points depending on what
Yeah.
you bid. There's maybe one or two too many rules for teaching a group of people because the people that played with us was my brother and sister, but then some of my brother's friends that aren't really regular game players. And there might have been a few too many rules for some of them,
Yeah.
but the game itself is fast, and once you get the hang of it, it's actually quite enjoyable. So
Okay. How many players
those
does
are
it play?
3. It plays up to 6. You can go 2 to 6, but I've only played with 3 and 4 and 5.
I see. Hmm.
So,
Okay.
and we played with 5, and it doesn't really take any longer because it's a trick taking game. So, adding an extra player doesn't really add any extra time.
Okay.
So,
Maybe it's somewhere here
and that's maybe it's over there. Maybe it is.
in Board Game
I
Camp.
mean, it's a small game it's based on an older public domain game. So I can't imagine
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
hard to
We
find.
have the kind of like
Um,
people. So the Board Game Camp is about people coming here and bringing in their games and sharing with others. Plus a small library from Brain Games, but it's tiny. Mostly it's just people, combining their games into one library. So
right.
maybe somebody has it. So I'm gonna see what happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really small, and if you see it, you might enjoy sitting down. I mean, it takes half
Uh,
an hour. It's not
the
a
next game I'm
huge
gonna play
investment
is
of time.
Archmage again
Oh, okay,
because
good for you.
now I know how to play it. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Well, there you go. Anyway,
I have to play it again in order to understand the whole thing. Yeah. So anyway, so all right. So we have the recent plays, and I've run nothing really to comment on those games because I've never played them. I mean,
That's fine.
I've heard about Hodari, I've heard about the Skull King, and I've heard about Welcome to as well. But I'm not into travel games anymore that much, so I'm looking into bigger games recently.
Well, there you go.
But
However,
anyway,
if
let's
you're
go.
traveling, it's great to have games that travel easily.
I'm kind of traveling a few kilometers away. So, but let's go to the next topic, which is desired play. So, and it's funny that I was thinking about, what do I want to play? I'm like, when I'm in the board game camp, I cannot really think of like desire play, I just want to play games, But there's one thing that, or let's say one kind of a game or part of the game that I want to play. So I played, recently I played the Exit, Catacombs of Horror, if you've heard
Oh,
about the new one. It's a
no.
two-part, so it's the Exit
Oh,
series.
that one.
It's the
Okay.
scenario of Catacombs of Horror, whatever, but it's a two-part. So we played only the first part, and I'm very eager to continue that one and play the second part of that, because the puzzles were really, really good. Like, this one was very interesting so far. I mean, like, some of them are all right, some of them are not, but I mean, like, I like Exit series very much, but I mean, this one might be one of the best ones. But I have to
Okay.
play the second part.
Well, good. That sounds
So
exciting.
what's yours?
Mine is one that arrived just yesterday, and that is Lockup, a role-player tale. It was from a Kickstarter that was about 8 months ago, I think.
Does it have like
And
many games in the series of Lockup, something like that?
no, so there's role player, and then
Okay.
there's this one that it's not by the same designer, but it's by the same publisher. It just arrived yesterday. It looks interesting. It's 1 to 5 players, and you're sort of
Huh.
you've been captured and are in prison and are trying to build up your reputation so that you can be put into into the gladiator ring and fight your way to freedom. I don't know much more about it than that, but it looks. I enjoyed role player. I know this is a different designer, but it looks like it'll be interesting. So I'm
So
excited to give it a try. It's 1 to
this one,
5
yeah,
players. Yep, that's the one. Lock up a role player tale.
and it has kind of a board or something like that.
It does have a board, and it has
Oh,
looks like
this
a
one
little
seems to be
stand. Well, that looks like a
tabletop.
prototype version. Oh, okay. So I don't know much more about it than that, but it's
It, if you think about that, it looks like the old video game, kind of a
I can see
the
that.
art itself is like one of the old, RPG type or
Mhm.
strategy type games. All right, so that's that.
So,
Okay, I'm gonna come back into that special loop and then stop sharing and stop caring as well.
all
All
right.
right, so let's go to the next topic, which is guess that game.
Hmm.
So I've prepared two games for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
So the first one, so it's a card game.
Is it Glory to Rome?
No, but next one, I think you're gonna guess it right away. It's about World War II.
A card game about World War II.
Or one.
Keep
I don't
going.
really remember, but about World War.
Oh,
Sorry.
is it the Grizzled?
Yes.
Oh, that's World War One.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. All
Okay.
right, so you got it fast.
You'll see why World War II was a bit confusing for me.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, was it World War II or was it World War One? I don't remember. Anyway, all right, so you're next.
All right. Mine is a game that is heavily involving cards.
It's Through the Ages.
It is not.
Hmm.
This game involves you must play cards that benefit other people, and so you're trying to mitigate the benefit to others by maximizing the benefit to yourself.
Play cards that benefit the others.
Hmm.
I don't remember. It's not a Mission Red Planet. It's not heavily a card game. Okay, so next one.
This game also involves a board with race cars.
Race car. I mean, is it Summoner Wars or that?
Race cars? You
Sorry,
played
race.
Summoner Wars?
Oh, sorry. Race like elves and I heard about that race
Oh.
cars, which is
Oh.
Formula D or something like that.
Well, that's a little bit closer than Summoner Wars, but no. This game has currently 4 different boards. One from the expansion, which has 2 sides to it, and another one that has 2 sides to it. So 4 different tracks.
But it has the race cars.
Yes, it has race cars.
It's that GMT game. No, not GMT. It's down
Yes, it's Downforce.
Force. Yes, sorry. The restoration games.
Yes, it's that one. Got it. Downforce. There we
Yeah.
go.
Thank you.
Summoner Wars.
I've never played Down Force. No, I've heard of like
Oh, you
races.
should. You'd like it.
Yeah, races like elves and dwarves and
Got it.
human race and so on. So my next one is it has hexes.
Is it Archmage?
No. Though next one is it's subjectively ugly.
Subjectively ugly.
I mean, like for me, it's ugly. Yes.
Okay.
Some people might like it.
Okay. I'll have to pass on that.
It has a tight management. Like
Tight management.
yeah, and the resources aren't really like resources tokens. I mean, it's just kind of a resources as kind of a measurement.
No, keep going.
It has 2 expansions.
An ugly game with 2 expansions and hexes. No, I'm still.
It will have a deluxeified version.
Will have a deluxeified version.
Yeah, it wasn't Kickstarter.
Oh, is it that Western one?
No.
Okay.
So one more is that it's all right. It's about cities.
It's about cities. I'm afraid I seem to be lost on this one.
Hexes, ugly. 2 expansions. Deluxe version is coming. Cities.
The only one I know is that Western with that Homesteaders, but that's
why it's subjectively ugly. All right, so the last one is from Bezier Games.
Oh, is it
Yes.
Suburbia? Oh, okay. Oh, there we go.
It is ugly, is it?
Yeah, it's kind of ugly, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So all right.
All
right.
The new version will be prettier.
Yeah. So and yours?
All right. My other one is a game that involves a lot of story.
Legacy of Dragonhold.
No. It is a game about pitching tent.
Sorry, that was interruption in the connection. So again.
It is a game about pitching tents.
Pitching tents? Tent? What?
Yeah, tent.
10, like number 10.
Like a tent. No, like a tent.
Tent, like a tent. Sorry.
Uh-huh.
Gold West.
No.
I don't know.
It's a game that involves dueling everywhere but the saloon.
It's Carson City or something like that.
No. This game takes place in a fantasy world.
Fantasy world, dueling. I mean, like, is it Western? No, it's not Western Legends.
That's a fantasy world.
Western Legends is not a fantasy world, but it's kind of. I mean, like, oh my God, I don't know.
All right. This game involves moving around a map and at certain locations, you'll have an adventure from a storybook.
Near and far.
There you go.
What was the first clue you said?
That it was about something about adventures.
Oh yeah, the story. It has the huge story. Ah, I forgot about that one. Okay. Oh, that was a bad one. All
That was
right.
bad. That was a fair one. Come on, you can't be more
I mean,
fair
it
than
was a
that.
fair one, but like my let's say
Ah.
my performance was bad.
Oh, okay, got it. All right.
All right, so let's go then to the next topic, and that's what's on Kickstarter. And we're gonna talk about the Kickstarters, and
I'm in a
share.
weird Kickstarter phase right now because I only have, this is shock for you, but I only have one active project on Kickstarter right now.
I don't have any because I stopped
Oh,
the Kickstarters. So anyway, but I have the Kickstarter over here, and my how does it spell? So I'm gonna talk about the dwellings of, or show you. Oh, this is like that? Yes. Dwellings of Heather. So I played this one as a prototype. I really liked it. It's like a little bit of like exploration and worker placement, weird one, and tight resource management, and those magical schools, and things you can see. This is from Breaking Games, but this is like
mm-hmm.
something that like Breaking Games has never done something that big. It's the same designer who made Energy Empires, the Manhattan Project, Energy Empire, something like
Oh,
that. Luke Laurie is the name
well, that's
of
the
the
best
designer.
version.
So as you can see, it has many great. I mean, like Breaking Games knows, like for example, the Rise of Tribes is very well done. I mean, like as with the
Yes, it
components, it
is.
has
Mm-hmm.
play trays and so on. So it has lots of miniatures and things. So basically, like yeah, those monsters come up. Those monsters over here in onto the board, and they kind of interact with you, and they do bad things to you. But you try to manage your own stuff. Do some Euro mechanics. But there are some huge monsters that are involved in this game as well. So worker placement tableau. Yeah, you build your tableau, you use the resources, and you convert them, and blah blah blah, and so on. And you battle each other, kind of a. If you have, and this one has different workers, and this one has like you can have a dragon, you can have a soldier, whatever like it has some peasants and so on, some knights, and so and elemental powers, magic spells, blah blah, and so on. So
Well, it looks interesting. I have not yet jumped on board with that one, but
for me, it's rather streamlined. I mean, like it's huge, but it's rather it's not that hard to understand this game, and it's a
yeah.
big one.
Huh.
Deluxe version, which includes like probably those special tokens and game trays and minis and so on. It's $99.
Okay.
The usual version is $70, and this one is $140, which is legendary.
Oh,
All legendary stretch goals, it says, and legendary Ecos miniature set. So basically, probably you get like all in one thing, the
yeah.
legendary thing. So that's Dwellings
Well,
of
that
the
does.
Elderwell.
Well, if there's a legendary version, it sounds tempting. I
Yeah,
can hardly resist something
I
like
mean,
that.
like, so that's something I would recommend. I've played the
Mm-hmm.
prototype. I was really impressed. I want to play this game again. I was
Mm.
so impressed with the prototype. That's a good game.
Well,
Yeah,
I might have to think about it then.
you
Yeah,
should.
yeah. My
You can back
resistance
one for me
to.
as well.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, my Kickstarter, and currently the only active Kickstarter I have right now,
Yeah,
is the expansion to Role Player, Friends and Familiars.
role player.
Seems like it's a role player day for me. Uh yep, so it's an expansion to Role Player. The first expansion was
Hmm.
fantastic, and really I don't think I
Oh,
can't imagine not playing with it in Role Player. This one looks like it adds a bunch more interesting things. You've got the familiars, which you can see on the screen right there, is a little tiny extra board that gives you more places to put the dice, it looks like, and adds some more special
variety.
abilities and challenges for you. so that'll be interesting. It also includes a bunch of more of the monsters for the first expansion, and it looks like it includes a bunch of other interesting things. There's also the split dice, which looks like would be fun. They're two-colored, so you can, I guess, use them for different. It gives you more ideas of where to place them. I haven't really read the rules yet, but it looks like it would be a lot of fun. It looks like it'll add a little bit more variety to a great game already. It includes more of those charisma tokens, which are the one thing that I don't think I've ever really seen anybody really use. But maybe there's ways. Maybe there's something that'll make them a little bit more interesting. But I really like the base game Role Player. I really like the first expansion, and I am sure I will really like the new one. And it looks like it comes with a big box that will hold everything, and that's always nice as well.
That looks really. The art is amazing.
It's the same art as before. I mean, well, not the same. It's new art, but it's the same style of art, and the artwork in the basic game looked good as it was. And this one,
I mean, like this monster looked great.
Yeah, the monsters always looked great. The monsters, I don't know if you've played with the monsters, but you really should. So
I played on the base game.
Yeah, you should give it another try and play with the monsters and minions expansion, because it adds a lot. It opens up a lot of possibilities. It gives you an extra thing to think about, and another way to earn points besides just placing dice on your board. So I really like that, and I'm
they offer the
excited
print and
for
play
it.
of that expansion as well.
Yeah, I don't really do print and play,
But I mean, like, still,
for some people that'll be really nice.
if they don't care, they just care about the playing.
Yeah, well, I did print and play back when I was doing play testing, but like for Summoner Wars, because that's really what you had to do. But I'd get Summoner Wars in here somehow. But other than that, I don't really have any desire to make the game myself. So
yeah, $44.
But I'm excited. I'm excited to pay money and play the game. So
you pay $15 extra to get a bigger box.
I paid. I was at the $59 one, but yes, a big box that will hold everything would be nice. Everything just barely fits in the base box.
So if you get, let's say you want to get everything, complete collection, $160 for a big box and 2 expansions in the base game, which is around how much?
I see it for 103. Oh, sorry, maybe that's just the expansions. Never mind.
Yeah. So this one is, let's say, it's like 50 plus. Let's say plus the shipping. Let's say gonna be like $60 around $60 per each item.
Well, if you don't have it, I of course am not interested in that pledge level because I already have 2 of the items.
The goals and so on. Yeah. All right.
I don't know. I think it'll be good. I think the first expansion is fantastic, and it looks like this one adds a lot more of what worked in the first expansion, plus a couple other options. And the split dice look like they'll be interesting. So that's my Kickstarter of the moment. And until I back that one that you discussed, it's my only current Kickstarter.
Yes. All right. So we're done with the Kickstarter topic here, and now we're gonna go to the topic of the day.
All right.
Which is exploration games, which is top 10 exploration games. And
it is indeed.
So with exploration games, you can interpret it differently. For example, you can say that it's the game which is mechanically exploring, where you literally explore things on the board.
Like when I explore a deck in Summoner Wars?
You can add it if you explain that. But if people agree with you or not, that's another question.
I didn't do that. That would feel cheap.
But I try to combine both. I try to bring games which are mechanically exploration and some games which are like has the exploration theme in them.
Mm-hmm.
Both of that. So we're gonna see So my order of the games is not extremely relevant. Let's say maybe like the top 5 games are relevant to each other. In what order they are. The other 5 are just, to fill the. I mean, like, I don't really differentiate them. I like them all the same.
I ranked mine, but I could be. I mean, my number 1 and number 2. I think I would definitely keep in those spots. Probably my top 10. I think are probably my top 5 are probably in order, and then the other 5 are also. I don't know. I think my order is relevant, but I could see myself ranking them differently on a different day.
Yeah,
So
the same. Yeah, it's kind of relevant, but not so strictly. So, but let's go with the number 10, and I'm gonna share the screen so we can briefly go through them in this special thing over here. So my number 10 is, and you might not agree, but it's Arkham Horror, the card game. And
yeah, I can see that.
It's the Arkham Horror, the card game. It's Arkham Horror as a card game. You can play it solo or with 2 players. I really like it with 2 players though, and I like the cooperation between the players. And you go into those scenarios and you explore them and see what happens, and you react to that. You have those different cards. It's like an Arkham Horror, but in a more efficient way, let's say, which I really like. And the exploration about that one is that I don't know, it just you go to those different locations and the monsters might pop up, and scenarios you go through the building. It has kind of a exploration theme more than mechanics. It has mechanics as well, kind of, but it's like you're exploring the house, and then you're exploring other locations and so the woods and whatever. I just I feel like it's an exploration.
I can tell I've played this more than you because you're not referencing the actual exploration scenario. The third cycle, I believe, is sort of exploring in a temple in the jungle. And in the second cycle in Carcosa, there's a part where you're exploring a cavern and you're flipping over the cards and placing sort of this underground cave, and you're placing the cards adjacent and making paths. So there's definitely some actual exploration scenarios in this.
I played it only so the thing is, I've played the base scenario, the very first scenario it's on, because each time I told it to new players. So I wanted to start with the base scenario,
Sure. Well, what I'm saying is the exploration is really kicked up a couple levels when you get into some of the later scenarios.
So kind of I anticipated that it's a great exploration game. So that's good. That's good.
All right.
So your number 10?
My number 10 is Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. Now, the exploration in this game isn't, I mean, it calls itself, there's sort of an exploration mechanism. And really what you're doing is moving, or I don't know if you played this, but one of the things you can do is move around the board and flip over these tokens and see what various adventures happen. And that's one way that you can end the game, is if all of these tokens are face up, that triggers a game end. So you can focus on that if you want. There's also, I mean, there's a lot of other things going on. There's building up your city, and there's building up your army, and developing various special abilities. But there's definitely a large portion of the game is moving around and having these sort of hidden adventures that could be various things. And that's probably one of the more fun parts of the game, is seeing what happens. So Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea is my number 10 on the exploration list.
All right, so let's go to number 9. I cannot really comment anything about the Heroes. I haven't played this one, so don't know. Anyway, my number 9 is a game which has a heavy exploration in mechanics, and that's Escape: The Curse of the Temple.
Yes.
So it's a 10-minute game. You're exploring the temple in the real time. You want to activate things and then grab them, and like sometimes it depends on the different scenarios and so on. But eventually, with expansions and so on. So, but yeah, just want to activate stuff and escape the temple in 10 minutes, and you're rolling dice all the time. You're rolling dice like crazy. But it has the exploration because all you do, you explore the temple in order to activate those crystals, so you can roll less keys during the exit, so you can exit things. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I like Escape. I haven't played it for a while, and so I didn't think about it. But it's a good game. It's stressful. There might be
It's
a
a.
few too many expansions at this point, so you kind of have to be careful. It's one of those things where the expansions are interesting. Like they add a whole bunch of different tiles and things you can
I would
do.
say like grab a base game and one expansion, and that's it.
Yeah,
You,
well, that's
you'll
the
have a lot
problem.
of fun.
Is you kind of have to. The problem with the game is that since it's timed, you really can't stop and explain what a tile does. But
Yes.
adding all those extra tiles in is a lot of fun. So it's an interesting balance.
Hmm.
So
So it's kind of a like you know miss or hit. You know, like oh sorry. Just I want to say just go and learn. You know, it's like let's say oh let's play this one, and if something comes up that you don't remember, we're gonna stop for a moment, so we can always reset and do this game again because it's 10 minutes. You know,
that's true.
and next time you already remember what's the tile and all the things. So it's kind of a let's
Sure,
do one or two learning games and then gonna do a proper full
sure.
on game.
Fair enough.
That's that. All right, so
All right.
let's go to your number 9.
So my number 9 is a game that's all about exploration. It's a game that I know you've played, and that is Betrayal, specifically Betrayal Legacy. This is Betrayal House on the Hill. You're exploring a house. You've got these cheap tiles that you flip over, and you move into a room, and various things can happen. You've got cards that will come up and tell you some sort of random story. Meanwhile, you're playing through the story, and there's various scenarios. You don't really know what you're doing until about halfway through. The game has some problems, right? I mean, there's always the problem of we're halfway done, so we're halfway through the game. So here, you person, go into the other room and learn all the rules. When we played it, you'll recall my brother had to be that person about 9 times out of 12, but and that's just
He
the random
was he
chance.
was haunted. Yes, he was haunted.
Um, but it's definitely an exploration game. There's definitely this
Yeah,
feel of exploring the house and seeing what comes up, and you never quite know what you're going to find. So it's the exploration itself is great in the game, and so that is why it is my number 9.
I agree. I like the Betrayal Legacy. I like the Legacy version. I played the initial version as well, but it had some problems for me.
Well,
So
but both
kind
of
of a
them do. But
it's like fun. Half of the game is fun, and half of the game isn't fun. That's what I always felt with this game. And with Legacy,
sure,
there were some things like there were a few things which are great, but there were more surprises which were like meh or it's bad.
hmm
So, well, but
but
still, it's
there you
very
are.
nice. Yeah, this is the exploration. This is the exploration in score. Yeah.
hmm
Anyway, let's go to number 8. My number 8 is a game which this is a little bit different one. This is difficult to like. It's kind of exploration, but it's more exploration in a theme if you think about that. So, and it's Hitsy Road, and yeah, it's. I have to explain it. So, in Hitsy Road, you are like a child in a car. So he does this kind of a game about you traveling around the say America and exploring those different locations and trying to survive. So it kind of feels for me like it's an exploration. So we drive there and then we explore that location. That location is very abstractish, but in a theme itself, it has that kind of a exploration feel. And you manage those different resources and you confront the zombies and you roll the dice. It's all about the dice and see if the zombies will eat you or not. You want to survive through the whole journey, and if you survive, you'll win the game.
Sure.
Yeah, you have to have some sort of. It's a tight resource, but like some at first you get those resources, but as the game progresses, you get less or less, and then you just need to have a little bit of luck of the dice as well.
Sure.
So it's a little bit, it's on a thin side on the exploration, but it kind of has that exploration feel.
Yeah, I think it's a little, I mean, it's your list. I don't know that I felt the exploration theme in it. It's more the fighting zombies, but I mean, it's a fine game. So, and if it feels like exploration to you, great.
Yeah.
But then again, my number 8 is not that strong in exploration either. This one is exploring a dungeon because that's what you do. And a spoiler, it's not my only dungeon game on the list, but this is definitely the silliest one, and that is Dungeon Fighter.
Hmm.
In Dungeon Fighter is a game where you're going through a dungeon and you'll fight monsters by rolling dice, bouncing them off the table, and having them land on a large target in the center of the table. Depending on which room you're in or which monster you're fighting, there may be other rules. For example, maybe you have to sit down on the floor and throw the dice. You might have to do them overhead, closed eyes. You might have to hold them up like you're saying a prayer and let the dice go. You can add weapons in where if you bounce it over a card or put it in somebody else's hand and toss it that way, that add different damage. It's a very silly game. But there's a little dungeon map that you're going through, and you can decide which way you're going to go, which might make the game harder with some extra rewards, or easier and faster. It's very silly, and the
It is.
exploration theme is a little bit lighter than maybe some of the other games on the list, but it's definitely there, and it's a lot of fun. So there you
So
go,
this picture,
Dungeon
this
Fighter.
picture shows you how much fun it is.
Oh, it's a very fun game. It's a
It
game that
is. It
everybody
is.
stops to watch. It's
Yeah, yeah.
definitely not one to be taken seriously, and I don't think I've ever actually won, but that's okay. I've always had
Yeah.
a lot of fun with it.
For me as well, because it has this silliness in it, I don't really feel like I'm exploring. It's the
It,
core
it
is just
it's
throwing the dice.
it's
Yeah,
maybe 80% silly, 10% dungeon, and maybe 10% exploration.
yeah, yeah. All right. So your number 8 is Dungeon Fighter. Let's go to number
Hmm.
7. Number 7 is a game about. It's a story game basically. And no, what I'm gonna say, I excluded games like I put the. No, I didn't. I didn't put any escape room games. You explore stuff there, like Unlock, for example. Unlock is more like it has that exploration feel, but for me, it's like the separate genre, escape room games. And I also, yeah, I try to avoid the deduction games like Chronicles of Crime or the Detective because you kind of explore information, but it's not an exploration game, you know. So anyway,
Go
Legacy
ahead.
of Dragonhold. Legacy of
Okay.
Dragonhold. It's a RPG board game kind of. It's a mashup. It's a choose your own adventure game. A choose your own adventure means exploring. It's exploring in its core. You create your character, and then you go through the storybook, basically like a choose your own adventure. Like it says, if you choose that, you go to that page, whatever, you go to that number, and then you're gonna do this. And at the different scenarios, and you have the map. Eventually, when you like, it's a spoiler basically. Eventually, when you get to the town, like there's an introduction thing, and then you get to the town, and then you can like use the go to the tavern, go to the inn, go to the shop, do all those different things. It feels like RPG, but it has kind of the helping flavor text in it. So the mashup, it's all about take the scenario, take this mission, and go exploring, and see what happens, but in a very nice way, and how your character works and so on. I really like it. That's Legacy of Dragonhold, number 7.
That's one I'd like to try. I have a copy. I just have never. It's a game that I think I'd want to play from start to finish right away, and it looks like it'll take
Oh,
a
it will
while.
be a lot.
So
I mean, if you want, like some scenarios might be like 2 hours, something.
yeah,
It's
that's
a
what
session.
I mean, and it's not. It looks like the kind of game that I'd probably want to play more alone. It looks more like a solo adventure
Look at
than
that. It's best with one. So
yeah.
you should
So
definitely try solo. Yeah.
and I will, and I have it. It's just I think I got it about the same time I got a game that's later on this list, and that one was a little bit more exciting to me, so I played that one instead. But it looks interesting, and I'd love to try it someday.
All right. So you're number 7.
My number 7 is a game that's all about exploration in its grand old world sort of feel, and that is the game Archipelago.
Hmm.
Archipelago, I'm sure I suspect it might end up on your list as well, but
Hmm.
it's
Who
a
knows?
game where you are a colonist, and part of the game is moving around and flipping these. And it's interesting because you when you explore, you can see one tile that it could be, and you don't know what's on the other side, and you have a choice. You can either take that one and use either side, or you can say, I'll risk it. I don't want that one. I want the next one. But if then you're not able to place it, then you're just out of luck and you've kind of wasted your turn. But it's an interesting game. I played it about 6 months ago again after we talked about it, and it really holds up well. There are some problems in that if you really have to go over what the end game cards are so that the other people know to watch for them, because you can kind of ruin the game if you're not paying attention to that. But it's a lot of fun, and the
Yes.
exploration is probably the best part of the game.
Yeah.
And it's sort of that classical age of exploration type feel. Archipelago.
Yeah. All right. So my number 6 is this is my number 6 is a heist game, and it's called Burgle Brothers. And this one has a strong exploration mechanic in it,
I believe I
because
taught you that game at an Estonian board game camp.
yes, that's I love this game. I mean, like when I played this game, I was like, "Ooh, that's really good," and I wanted to get a copy. Remember that?
I
And
do.
we couldn't get the copy, but eventually I got a copy. So I really want to get I want to see the expansion coming out for this game. But this game, it's a heist game where you start on the first floor, you want to get to the second and third floor, you want to crack the safe, so you have to find it. So basically, you explore all the tiles here, and those different, some of them are bad tiles, which are alarm tiles. Some of them are good tiles, which will help you with the alarms and stairways and blah blah blah. Eventually, you need to crack the safe on all 3 floors and escape through the roof with all the loot that you get from the safe. Then you win the game. It's a cooperative game. And the cool part about that, there is that guards, which is going around, and you kind of basically at some point you don't know where he will go, but eventually you will still know. It's kind of the guard is programmed, but different things might manipulate his movement, and that's
Sure.
really nice. So that's where your exploration might be very tight and very careful. Great
Yep,
game.
absolutely.
Brothers.
I agree.
So
My number 6. We're on 6 now, right? Yeah.
yes.
My number 6 is a game all about exploring the galaxy, and that is Zaya: Legends of a Drift System. Again, kind of like Archipelago, the exploration part is, you're sort of is a heavy piece of the game. You're moving around the galaxy. You don't know what's there. You can sort of take it slow and careful and look at what's coming, kind of also like in Burgle Brothers, where you can, peek at the tile, or you can just rush in and you might end up flying into the sun and dying. There's a lot of interesting exploration as you kind of move around and you find new planets, and you're trying to uncover different things so that you can fulfill different missions. And there's various ways to get points. There's a lot. The game has a lot of luck involved. There's a lot of sort of almost roll and move aspects, but it does it in a way that's very interesting. And it's a fun game. It's a little bit long, but it's really, you sort of have this great exploring the galaxy experience, and
Yeah.
I quite like it.
All right. So yeah, I've never played this one, but it's something I want to try at some point, because it reminds me a little bit of Merchants and Marauders. Like that.
Yeah, I could see that.
All right. So let's go to the next one. My number 5. Yeah, we're on 5
Yes.
now. So my number 5 has an exploration theme in it. The exploration mechanics, not so really. It's a card game, so it's The Last Expedition.
I suspected this one might end up on your
Yeah,
list.
I really like this one. It's a puzzle game basically. You need to get through the paths of the jungle paths, and eventually you need for your, at least for one of your characters, to the characters are common, everything is common, and then you want to just get to the final cards, and then you win the game. And you have those puzzle cards where you need to do some events that you need to do, some events that you choose, and you lose your health and you get food and ammunition, blah blah. Just like it's like a card puzzle basically
Mm-hmm.
that you need to go through. And it's not about it's kind of like when you lay out that path, it's kind of exploring that path, it's mechanically kind of, but it's more about like exploration theme, and the
Yes.
art adds to it, and it has this. There's a film called the movie called The Lost City of Z. Kind of
I started
reminds me.
watching it. It was boring.
I like that
Okay.
movie. But yeah, it reminds me of that. So The Last Expedition number 5.
All right. Well, I knew that would be on your list because I know you really like that game.
Yes.
I like it, but it's not going to be on my list. My number 5 is another space game, and I think it's my only other space game on the list, and it's the space exploration game that I like just a bit more, and that is Eclipse.
Hmm.
And in Eclipse, you're sort of moving around, and it's sort of a very Euro-y space exploration game. And I haven't played it for a while, but every time I think about it, it makes me want to play it again. And you've got sort of this board set up, and there's a lot of face down tiles. And the exploration part is you're going around and you're trying to find colonies so that you can maximize your positions on various tracks. And I mean, the exploration is maybe not the best part of the game. It's just there, but it's also kind of fun. It's the thing I think I end up doing the most because I want to find places where I can put all of my little cubes out so that I can have a better set of actions and point and resource generating engine. But I really like the game. I think that's why it's higher up on my list. And I wish I could play it more. It can technically, I think, play up to 9, but I think that would be a horrible mistake.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Um, I like it with 2 and 3. And also, I don't know what table in the world you could fit 9 people around to play that game. But apparently that one in the
Yeah.
picture. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's my number 5. I haven't played it for a while, but I really like it. Eclipse.
Good. All right. So let's go to number 4. My number 4 is a Ryan Locken game, and I was like, I mean, like all of his games, kind of. Oh, by the way, I forgot about that one. I mean, now I want to change my opinion on that. So, you know what? I'm gonna go with that. Because I was thinking about various of Ryan Lockett games. I was thinking like I'm gonna put any of the games that he has, and it's gonna work. I'm gonna go with Empires of the Void now. I just remembered that.
Okay.
So I don't know why I skipped that. Like I put at first I put here I have the Near M4. Near M4 has the story element, and you kind of go exploring. It has the exploring theme. This one is more like a 4X type game where it has the exploration in it, explore the different planets and so on. But all of Ryan Lockett's games have exploration elements in it, through the story or something like that. This one has the story. This one has, the 4X type. It's not. That's the wrong picture. So it's just a really nice game.
I would love to play. I still would love to play the new Empires of the Void, and I still haven't. So,
This one, like, basically, it has those Ryan Lockett type Euro mechanics in it.
mhm.
The board where you get the resources from the planets and you upgrade your boards so they become more powerful, and you start building up the cities and like the different buildings basically. And by building those buildings, you kind of upgrade another track. So if you like it's scythe type, when upgrade
Sure.
something else becomes also more powerful, something like that. It has this kind of a vibe to it, and of course fighting each other, but in an easier way. That's more
Hmm.
like exploration of space. Yeah.
All right.
Emperor's Way
Fair
2.
enough.
Your number 4?
My number 4 is a game that you've already mentioned, and so you won't disagree, and that is Burgle Brothers.
Yeah.
A great game exploring you already talked about it, exploring the building, sort of the tension of wondering whether you're going to step into an alarm room and ruin your plans
Yeah.
or find something that'll be useful. It's a very interesting little game that is I have a ridiculous tower to play it on, but
Yeah.
that which I like. But I've really enjoyed it ever since that first time I played it with you a couple years ago in Estonia. It's just a great. It's not your traditional exploration game, but
Yeah.
you definitely feel it as you're figuring out what's in this building that you're trying to rob, and wish that you'd made better plans.
Yeah. Because like through the theme or something like that, it's a heist theme. Like it's not like
Yeah.
it's an adventure, it's fantasy, space, and something like that. No, it's a heist game, but
Yep.
it's all about exploring the tiles.
It
That's
is.
one of the main things. So yeah, I agree about that. All right, let's go to number three. My number three is I'd say I mean, how to say that based on the Amerithrashiness of the game, if you can say that word, this is the heaviest game.
Okay.
It's a very thematic game, one of the most thematic games that I have in my collection as well. That's Nemesis.
Oh.
Yeah, it's an Alien the board game basically. Yeah, Alien the movie, the board game. And in this one has a strong exploration feel to it. I think this is a prototype. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. So the thing is that the exploration feel that you have in this game is amazing because you're exploring the ship. It's a prototype, but who cares? Yeah, you can take a look at the game later. You have the different rooms, and they're all face down. And eventually, you go through those rooms, and the aliens might attack you. You might trigger some other things and noises and so on. But I just love just going through the ship and discovering new tiles and trying to find the rooms that I need to use. I love this. It has many other things that I like it's very thematic. It creates the stories. So that I know, I went to this room and you were near death, so I started dragging you to the reanimation room so I could save you. But then the aliens surrounded me. I had to abandon you and run away into the other direction. And then I tried to backfire, but I couldn't save you still. It's like it's such a great game. It's just an amazing game. It's a slog to learn. It has many tiny rules. It needs probably a huge FAQ and like even bigger reference sheet thing and so on. So it needs many things. Like I would like to have some kind of a custom things that will have like something like of a reference which answers all the questions and so on. So, but still a great game. Lots of fun. Amazing game. That's Nemesis.
Well, I haven't played that one. As I said last time we talked about it, I just don't think that's one that my people here would like, and I think it might have too many rules. I just think it looks like the kind of game that I would get and never play, and I have so many of those that I ended up passing on that one. But I'm open to being convinced some other time.
If we can play it together, I will definitely teach it to you because it's an amazing game. You would love it.
All right. Well, I hope so. Anyway.
Yes.
My number three is a game that may have until a moment or two ago been on your list until you switched it to Empires of the Void, and that's Near and Far, which for me, we already talked about it a little bit, but that's the Ryan Lockett exploration game for me. I agree that lots of his games have some exploration in them, but this one has that big storybook that you're going through, and you don't really know. I mean, the adventure is definitely the most fun part of the game, and I really like it. I like adding. If you read in the very back of the rule book, there's the extra adventure variant where you add 4 extra of those book tokens to the board, and I
Yeah.
pretty much always play with that because that's sort of the
More
most
book
fun
tokens.
part
Yeah.
of the game.
Yeah.
Sure. I've played it. I played it with my brother. Oh, last Sunday, so almost 6 days ago, and it reminded me how much I like that game. And I have the expansion that I haven't even played, so I'm looking forward to playing this one again. It's the story is a lot of fun. The art is that same dreamy Ryan Lockett style, and there's a lot of different maps you can play through. And I have not even played the campaign version, so I think it's a lot of fun, and I like the exploration aspect of it. There you go, Near and Far.
Yeah. That was my initial choice, and yeah, I mean, like, I could put Near and Far or Empires of the Way 2. Both are the great games. I like them the same way. So I'm like, uh, any of them, because Ryan Lockett is about adventure games, kinda lately. I mean, the Sleeping Gods is coming, and Near and Far, and Above and Below. though they have the Euro mechanics, but they are adventure games.
Yeah, the bigger. So I mean, Ancient World isn't so much, and
Yeah,
City of
that's
Iron isn't
yeah.
so much, and that Haven isn't so much. But lots of
Yeah, I mean,
his
like
sort of
these are the older designs. I mean, like the I
they
mean, like
are, and well, I mean, Ancient World just came back, but you know, you got Above and Below has it in there, and Near and Far has it, and Islebound has it
yes,
to an
about two.
extent. So I don't know. It's definitely. I think his better games do that. So
Yeah, that's when they discovered Above and Below. So basically, from there on, I could see that influence in Empires of the Way 2, and probably the Sleeping Gods will be like that as well.
mhm.
So yeah, we'll see about that. All right, so let's go to number two. My number two is not a surprise, as you said. It should be on my list, and it is, and that's Archipelago. Like,
I'm
there's
I'm
nothing to
not
add.
surprised.
It's I haven't played it in a long while. I still remember it to be a great game. I like the worker placement. I like the exploration is the best part. I mean, like building the archipelago, which is gorgeous, by the way, and then
Mhm.
controlling those tiles and those building those different buildings and towns and markets, so you can kind of become more powerful. Uh, just a great thing. The end game conditions, I mean, not only the scoring, but the condition itself.
Yes.
It's not always that exciting, but the scorings themselves, that's like there's a card that only you have and you know that information, but somebody else can score it for you, like, and snap away the points from you,
Sure.
not even knowing. That's exciting. Or you kind of
I'm
you anticipate you're like, you're building markets all the way through, I'm going to start building markets as well so I can stop you and score my points.
excited for the what is that? The Living Planet to finally come out. I think that'll
Oh
be.
yes.
I think that's going to be great too. But again, I can't disagree with Archipelago since it was on my list.
Yeah, the Living Planet is coming at the end of the year.
Hopefully,
Yes. That's a long time, but maybe they will at least will be like a great game.
I sure hope
And like,
so. But and it sounds like it will be. I've been paying attention to the updates, and it looks like there's been a lot of development in it. So I'm hoping it'll be fantastic. But again, back to Archipelago, I certainly agree.
so they're number two.
My number two. This is a game that I like a lot, and I don't think you do. I don't think you've even played it, but this is another dungeon exploration game, and it is in fact one deck dungeon.
Mm,
In one deck dungeon, you've got one deck of cards and a bunch of different colored dice, and your deck is your dungeon, and it's also the special abilities that you'll gather and the weapons you'll pick up along the way. So you flip over, you make a dungeon of usually 4 cards, depending on what monster you're fighting, or which dungeon you're in, and then you'll open the door and you'll see what monster is in there or what trap is in there, and then you'll either run away or choose to fight it. And if you run away, you waste some time, and the time is, of course, the dungeon cards that you discard, and the time is how long you have before you start dying
yeah,
or have to face the boss. And if you're not ready, then you'll realize that you have used your time poorly. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a great little one-player game. I've played it 2 players, but and it works as 2 players. It works for 2, but it works so well as a single-player game, or even a single player playing 2 characters. There's an app for it that's also fantastic. One of the best app implementations of a board game that there is,
hmm
by the same people
hmm
who did Sentinels of the Multiverse app.
yeah,
It's a lot of fun, and it's a perfect travel game because it's very small. It's a small box. There's one expansion which is a standalone base game, but there's no reason not to combine them for just more fun. And
yeah.
you can play it as a quest with a campaign, sort of a campaign where you're developing your character, or you can play a one shot. It's just there's a lot of fun to be had in one deck dungeon, and the exploration is really that game. It's all about exploring that dungeon, and it does a lot with just a few components, which is just that one deck of cards. I came around on this one hard. I used to think I didn't understand it the first time I played it. I didn't understand why people liked it, but after I played it and really paid attention to it, I really started liking it, and I think it's just
Mm.
a great game. So
Okay.
My number 2.
Your number 2, One Leg Dungeon. All right, and let's go to number 1 finally.
Mm-hmm.
My number 1, I think it will not be a surprise for you because if you think about that, what do you think it is?
Well, I know what my number 1 is, and so that's probably what I don't know. I think we might meet up on this one.
What do you think is my number 1? Just guess it. Let's
The
try.
Seventh Continent.
And that's the thing. I haven't played the Seventh Continent yet. I
Oh,
really
you
wanna.
haven't?
Yes,
Oh, for some reason
I
I thought you had. Okay, never
I
mind
couldn't
then.
get around it, but I'm sure I'm gonna love Seventh Continent. I'm sure it would be my number 1 right now if I would play it.
Okay.
But my number 1 is Time Stories.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and
Yeah,
though
we're not
and
going to meet up on that one.
yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Some people they like some of the scenarios. I'm fine with some of the scenarios. I'm not that. I'm not criticizing the game too much myself. But if you go with the first scenario as well, doesn't matter. It's exploration in its core, and it's a cinematic exploration. It's a story-based exploration. You roll dice and things, and it's like skill checks and things. That's easy thing. But the exploration aspect, like you go into those different timelines and you explore the different locations themselves, explore the story and so on. This is the definitive exploration game for me.
Mhm.
Yes, it should be revised. Yeah, some of the scenarios and some of the rules. I mean, like eventually to make it perfect, for me at least.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's perfect, but I still enjoy it so much that I don't care.
Did you watch that video I sent you?
Yes, but I watched this video and I found it. I found the jokes and things stupid. I
Oh, I
didn't like
thought
the
it was
video.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But all right. Well,
It's a matter of taste, probably. I'm sorry, but
yeah.
I found it very stupid.
Well, don't be sorry. Be better. I
Sure.
I liked my first plays of Time Stories, but I just think I might be over it. So, but I know
Yeah,
you
maybe
like it.
maybe the blue cycle will change your mind. We don't know
Well,
what's the blue cycle.
it will. Maybe it will if I actually play it, but I'm not sure that I will. But maybe if it's so good, I will. So we'll see. Um, my number 1 is the Seventh Continent. I'd forgotten that you hadn't played that. I just think if you want an exploration game, that is it. You're exploring the Seventh Continent. You've got
I'm sure about that. Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna love
you jump out. You're in a spot, and you don't have a whole lot of guidance. You're just there. You wake up, and you've got one card that gives you some sort of a clue as to what you're supposed to be doing, and you then walk around the continent and you try and figure out what to do. And as you go along, I mean, the scenarios don't cross, but the places you visit do. And so as you play it more, you start to learn where things are. And all of a sudden you're like, aha. And that's what the first scenario, the one that you're just playing first, is a great scenario to play first because it takes you pretty much all over the continent. So you sort of learn where the different areas are and how to get to them. And then when you add in when you play a different scenario, a different curse, you can kind of have some sort of a sense of where you're supposed to go. Although once you get there, you might not know what to do. So there's a lot of discovery in this game, and there's a lot of exploration, and there's a lot of story that goes on, and the game takes hours and hours and hours to play unless you lose. I mean, you can lose in about 5 minutes if you go the wrong way. Uh, but you only do that once,
it.
and
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
and I know how you can because I've done that. But it's a lot of fun, and it's a game that when you get into it, and it's not a game for every day, but if you're able to set aside the time and explore, you're going to have a great time, and you'll definitely get that exploration theme. So that's my number 1 beginning, and the rest I just kind of filled in from there.
yeah. So yeah, so I totally get that. I'm sure I'm gonna love it. Uh, and that's top 10 exploration games, and that's the end of this episode. The
Okay.
episode number 10 already. Yeah, finally. From the camp itself, I'm not gonna now. I'm gonna go and play more games. I'm gonna play Archmage again. and then I'm gonna play
All right.
maybe a few more. I brought Underwater Cities. I eventually bought
Oh.
Underwater Cities. Yes, so I brought this one.
Yeah, that's not an exploration
Uh,
game.
Kinda. If you explore the rules and
No, it's not
yeah.
an exploration. Yeah, that's it's a great game, but it definitely does not belong on the
Yeah,
exploration list.
but still,
So,
yes. So I'm gonna go play a bunch of games. Thank you for watching. We're gonna see you another time in another Würfel cast,
all right.
or I'm gonna do some reviews as well. So I'm gonna prepare a few reviews after the camp because I'm gonna test the games over here. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. So
Sounds great.
until we meet again. Bye bye.
Bye.